Hello, hello, hello. This is Curious Success, episode 20. I'm Rasheen Palmer, the key contributor to this podcast. And I look forward to having a good discussion today. The topic is how do they shape the curve? A conversation on how women define enhancements in 2021. Um, I have some esteemed guests that I'm looking forward to be able to share some good insight as we talk about various or bring up various points on this subject matter. So I definitely look forward to what they have to contribute. So anyone can go first and just briefly introducing themselves, and then we could get started.
Okay. My name is Jennifer. I'm from the Bronx, and I'm looking forward to this discussion because it's a hot topic right now.
Okay.
I'm Rahshida from Long Island. I'm also looking forward to the discussion, especially, where we stand in 2021. Right now, it's just like a crazy year. 2020, 2021 is just a lot going on. So I think it's going to be an interesting discussion knowing where everyone's mind is at the moment and why they're making the decisions they're making.
Mhm.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I'm excited about this discussion too, because I do kind of tend to lean into a feminist kind of view of things. So I would like to hear what everybody else has to say, and let's get this going.
Okay. Um, how would you personally define physical enhancements, and what do you see as a reason for them or not? So, how would you personally define physical enhancements, and what do you see as a reason for them or not?
Okay. Well, physical enhancements it varies from having plastic surgery like tummy tucks and BBLs to getting braces because that's an enhancement to your appearance. That's not your natural
Right.
being. So, or even getting hair implants.
Right.
Anything that changes or alters your body is an enhancement.
Mm-hmm.
So,
When it was performed medically, you mean?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other definitions?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it could be, I was just having a conversation the other day with one of my coworkers who I'm pretty close with. And she was just really unhappy because she was saying, Rashida, I'm going to be 50 soon and I look so different. Like my face looks different. I don't have any fat in my face. I have to, like, she was so upset about it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, and I get it, Jennifer brought up braces. I recently just got my daughter braces, right? And when I look at her face, she looks different. She's completely physically changed from what she looked like maybe less than a year ago. So I think that, for me, if anybody makes a decision to change anything, no matter what it is, I think that's a personal decision that shouldn't be judged like by anybody because you're not that person. You're not looking at yourself in the mirror every day mad, So, I support it.
Yeah.
I agree with Rashida. I believe it is a personal choice for yourself. You do what makes you feel good at the end of the day, as long as you're doing it for you and nobody else. Because there are situations where there have been men who try to force this narrative onto females to change their appearance, to do whatever, and it's not coming from them. And usually when it's not coming from a genuine place is usually what brings regret. So as
Yes.
long as you're doing it for your own self, by all
Mhm.
means, do what you want. It's your body. If it makes you look at yourself in the mirror with pride, go ahead, go for it.
Yeah.
Who are we to judge? Who are we to say? And who are
Right.
we to wait? Like that's not our place.
Okay. Do you see any reasons for not having them?
Well, I could see if you have like an underlying medical issue and you go against what your primary doctor says to go get plastic surgery, because then that becomes a big health risk. Because when I got surgery, some girl, I think she falsified her paperwork, and she had I think she had sickle cell or something like that. And doctors would not perform in you in the States if you have like a blood disease or anything like that. So she ended up in the hospital. So also like just putting that in your head, like if you have any underlying medical issues, that might not be the route for you, even if you really want to get the surgery. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that question?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jen. I also think people shouldn't do it if you're doing it because someone else, like what Amanda said earlier, like if someone else a man is telling you should do this or you should do that. And if that wasn't something that like you were happy with your body and you're letting other people influence your decision, then no, I'm against it with that.
I'm also against, I guess, the younger set getting plastic surgery.
Definitely.
Because I feel like this is a forever decision. This isn't something that you could, I mean, some things can be reversed to a certain extent, but this is a forever decision. And I believe it shouldn't be taken lightly. It should be taken seriously because, as Jen said, lying on your paperwork can cause fatalities. And I guess on top of that, you also gotta worry about the effects of bad things happen even when you are following the rules, because everyone's body chemistry is different. So yeah, I totally agree with that. So
okay, how do you feel about individuals getting a sex change?
I mean, I've known a few people. I know people who are transgender, who are considered transgender, or who consider themselves, in the community. And I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I'm like, you live your life how you want to live your life. If that's who you feel you are inside, then that's who you feel you are inside. What a lot of people get it confused is they get confused sexual orientation and gender. And they're two different things.
Yeah.
What somebody feels like they are as a person has nothing to do with their sexual preferences. And like I said, at the end of the day, who are we to judge? Like, they're not my partner. You're not them. So like, in my extent, I just feel like that's a mind your business. Because I knew someone who I was pretty close with, and at that time I had a partner who was totally against his cousin's preferences, and he would go as disrespectful as to call her out of her name. He would call her male name, and you know I it was mean. It's offensive. Like, you wouldn't want anybody to disrespect you, so why disrespect anybody else? Do unto others, pretty much.
Right. I guess for me, like I always try to think of it as from a point of view as, are you sure? Right? Like, because that's a big time physical enhancement. Like, you are changing your member, that's a big decision. And, I've never talked to anyone who's actually had the surgery. I know, I know trans and lesbian people who just live their life that way, but still have their member. If you're not completely sure, like, even though you feel like, I don't want to have this anymore, that associates me with male or female or whatever, I think you should go through tremendous therapy, like at least 3 years of therapy. Because if not, you could be in a state where you're crazy. Like, oh my God, sexual pleasure sometimes is no more. It's not like what it used to be. it's different, you know, and if you're used to a certain feeling sexually, when you go and have a big time surgery like that, you gotta know shit is not gonna be the same down there no more. So I think that people should kind of really, even though like, you know, this is who you are and this is who you want to be. I totally understand that, but just get at least 3 years of therapy, talk to a lot of different people before you go through with it. So you're sure. That's how I feel about that.
Got it. I definitely appreciate your perspectives on that. Because I know that that's what it's definitely out there, especially more nowadays. Even though there's still challenges with social acceptance for the LGBTQ community and so forth, especially if they are, you know, of the mind of wanting to get a sex change, which is it just presents a lot of issues and challenges. But it is definitely become more of a thing that's occurring and that's happening, and there's slowly becoming more of a, you know, there's more acceptance to it. So maybe it's on a minuscule scale or whatever the case, but there's still some level that's happening. So you know, we're seeing more people that are doing it or bringing it up and so forth. So when it comes to not braces, but more of other parts of the body that individuals will choose to enhance, are we past the days of embracing one's natural appearance?
I would say, yeah, you are. I mean, women, we could turn it on and off, right? But I mean, as far as like, you know, getting your body done and all of that, yeah, we're past, yeah, no. It's so easy to do. And it's out there. So I think we're past that. Like I'm not saying you don't have women who are natural. You do have women who are natural, but how much percentage of them are happy with their natural?
Is it affordable?
They're going to make it affordable.
You define what affordable is, because it is not affordable.
I'm talking about this. Yeah, because if you're saying if it's easy to get these enhancements, I'm like, is that
it's not easy? And let me tell you, the healing process is not easy either. The aftermath of taking care of it is not easy. And it's a lifelong process once you get it done, because you still have to be on a diet. You still have to take care of it because that's an investment.
Right.
You still have to eat a certain way. When you come out the hospital, you have to be monitored by nurses. You have to buy all these garments that cost hundreds of dollars. You need like a bunch of massages that each cost $100, and you need like 20 of them. It is not cheap.
Wow.
At all. So
was this like what the doctor said, like this is what you would have to do after, like post-surgery?
He tells you what you have to do before, during, and after.
Got it.
And you need care, and it costs a lot of money. It is not cheap.
Did you need to have like a temporary nurse or someone that was like?
I stood in a nurse's house after the surgery for a couple of days where they fed me, bathed me, because I could even move to the most extent. I had to be picked up at the airport. It's a lot of money. So it is not easy. It's not affordable. Not a lot of girls could afford it. It's very expensive.
You see this, what you just said, Jen, like if a lot of people knew, because a lot of people don't know. Knowledgeable on like what goes into these surgeries. A lot of women just allow them to happen. There are sad stories where women are, like she said, people will go wherever, they will make it affordable. People go to, you know, these third world countries and they get these surgeries done and they come back and they're dying. So it's like they're like the risk factors are not well known. Because all we see is the after, but we don't see what goes into it and the work, as Jen said, the work, the money, and the pain. Like they don't put that on broadcast. What we see in the media is, you know, like we see Cardi, we see, you know, we see a lot of these, we see Kim, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a Kim despiser because Kim.
I feel like she started it.
Kim and Chloe right now, like Chloe's complaining that people are like, like people are making fun of her photos or, blah, 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 because she put up a picture that was not altered or photoshopped. And she made a big stink about it. But I'm like, but you're the one that's putting these like false ideals into females' heads. Like, they're kind of what shifted like the whole idea of beauty right now. They
Right.
kind of shaped what we feel is beautiful right now. And a lot of it is unrealistic. I've heard situations where people are taking ribs out just so that they can get smaller waists, you know, and some of the surgeries don't even look very good. But it's just like body dysmorphia is a real thing. And it is something definitely brought on by what we see, the social norm in the media, because
Could you
that's what's close
define what you
to
just
us.
brought up?
Hmm?
Dysmorphia? Could
Yeah.
you can you define it?
Body dysmorphia. Well, I mean, Jen could explain it a lot better than I can. I can just explain it in like the short terms,
Go ahead.
where your body isn't what you see. Like, and unfortunately, there are a lot of women and a lot of girls that are walking around that are perfectly fine. You look at them and they're perfectly fine, but they see themselves as misshapen, or they see themselves bigger than they are, smaller than they are, roles that aren't existent. They pick on everything about their body. And it's unfortunate because yes, enhancements are definitely fine, but there's a point where you gotta say, is like it was like, are you doing this for you? Are you just doing this because you're being influenced and you feel like you're forced to do this to fit into the narrative now? And I think that's a big key to think about and of concern.
I think when you have surgery, you really have to evaluate why you're having surgery. Like, make sure it's for you. Make sure it's not because you have a low self-esteem. Because when I went into it, I didn't have a low self-esteem. I loved myself. I used to my own horn. But I was like, damn, I want to look good in certain outfits. And, I would work out and it still didn't match what I wanted. So I was like, all right, you know what? I could afford it. So
Mhm.
that's why I did it. So you have to be really realistic about why you're getting it. Because if it's really because you have some real deep rooted hate towards your image, or because some guy tells you to do it, or because you're trying to be like somebody on TV, those are all the wrong reasons to do it. And you're just never going to be happy with yourself, even after you do it, because you're always chasing the idea of someone else's image.
Yeah. Yeah, I just Googled dysmorphia. Thank you for bringing that up because I haven't really heard the term that
Mm.
much, but it says deformity or abnormality in the shape of or size of a specified part of the body. So yeah, that's really interesting. Um, can I speak from a male's perspective about natural looks?
But of
Uh-huh.
course.
Okay, so I've always been a fan of natural looks. Um, so yeah, I don't know if like that's just become more of a social acceptance for men nowadays. Um, and especially I know it has been um from the pop culture made more of a thing through through that culture, through the music, and the women how they depicted in the videos, or even depicted through porn, through depicted through social media, Instagram. Like, I don't know how many you know Instagrams one can go through, and then it's like, even if you just go to search, what'll automatically pop up was all these women with big butts. And I'm like, when did that become a thing? But it's like that's like the thing nowadays. Um, and yeah, it's kind of amazing to me that like it has like, I don't know when was the turning point and when this happened, but it just seemed like it was everywhere, and we already was living in a society that is like, for America, that's hypersexualized, you
Hmm.
know. sex has always been selling, you know, on various different levels, but to the extent now where it's like you have so many people that are presenting with, you know, physical enhancements, and that's becoming more of a norm. But I've like, once again, I thought, if you know where you at in like your beauty and your confidence and how you're centered in your peace, and if you feel like naturally this is what I have, I'm fine with this, and I can move on, move out through life knowing that I'm still a beautiful person, then it is what it is. You know, so I never was a fan of, you know, of that. And to be honest with you, back in the days, you know, I went to a strip club, and when this young lady came over, and I was like, wow, body is nice. And then my friend, who claims he's a buttologist, was like, yo, bruh, her booty fake. And it was like, whoa, really? And it was like, I was like, well, I don't know. But it doesn't feel like natural, you know? And it was like, wow, this is really surprising to just like what is occurring and what's happening. And just like that's just like become a norm now, you know, for individuals. But you know, long story short, I'm definitely more of a fan of of if you are going to do certain things, I think it's you know, I guess it might depend on just like how it's done. When in terms of the enhancement, because certain parts like, okay, a tummy tuck or certain things like that, you know, sometimes you have people that overdo it in terms of their enhancements, and it's like that is like you have two basketballs that you working, like
The
how,
Christmas hams.
like, hey, did you hear about like say, I think, I don't know if Queen Latifah did it, but I know Queen Latifah. I think it was like a narrative out there about her having to reduce her breast size or something like that. And I'm not sure, like, I'm like, I like just knowing that there are women out there like that, just that's they were just naturally born that way. And then they would have to like take those steps to like reduce. And then you have women that's like, you know what, I want them just as big as that. I was like,
Yeah.
how are you trying to manage what someone that naturally, you know, was given to them is like, you know what, this is, you know, something that's not an easy undertaking, you know. And
No, it's not.
so, but yeah, you know, so, you know, I think that's like just part of like, you know, where people may be at in terms of their own, because it's definitely one's own choice. It's one own choice if they want to like look into get enhancements or not. But I do have a lot of respect for those who are, you know, remain comfortable in what their choice is and exhibit that. Not also when you get enhancement, now you still and who knows, individuals may need therapy after just doing that. You know, whatever they've done to their body, they may just need to have therapy after doing that because some things may not be like locked in. So you made this decision, but you never really felt that comfortable even with that decision. So you're exhibiting that to others. I'll stop right there. I said quite a bit. But what was you gonna
Okay.
say, Amanda?
I mean, it's a good point. Rasheem, Jen, you guys know me. I have a full bust. I have a very, very, very full bust. And um when I do hear these women like wanting to like get these like gargantuan like freaking balloons, freaking volleyballs on their chest, it does seem kind of like surreal because like as a woman who has a big chest, it is not easy. It is not easy. Bras are hard to find. Shirts are hard to wear. I could wear something that the average person will wear, and I can look like a porn star easy just because of the size of my chest. And also, it's like it's weight. As I've gotten older, like when I was younger, I didn't have much of a problem with having a bigger chest, but as I've gotten older, you know, they're heavy. Bras are hard to come by in my size. Like I'm paying like on a cheap, I'm paying like $50 for a bra.
Expensive, yeah.
On a cheap, I'm paying $50 for a bra. But if I want to get a really good bra, I'm paying upwards almost $100 for one
Yeah.
bra.
No joke.
And You know, that the things that they don't tell you about is, you know, the bigger you get, you can develop rashes. There's a, you know, it can sink into your shoulders. There's a lot of things. I won't lie. I have looked into maybe a reductive surgery, maybe not to the extent of something like crazy where I'm like, but just something enough where
Take
it
the
might,
pressure
you
off.
know, might take some of the pressure off. But that's a personal choice for me. And I like Jenn said, like we have been saying, it has to be done for the right reasons. Can't just be done because it's the flavor of the week. Just like as you were talking about, you know, this shift as in, you know, butts becoming like posteriors becoming bigger and like this whole trend of big butts. But as a fashion major, um, you know, we constantly go through this. We constantly go through this. The 80s and the 90s, the 80s was all about the chest, the
And
rack,
check.
the rack, the rack, the rack. Um, when we were in the 40s, you know, it was about the butt. It was actually about the butt and this small waist that didn't make sense. But what a lot of people don't realize is Marilyn Monroe was like a size 14. She wasn't even that, she wasn't even that small.
Right.
And you know, and it shifts, and it shifts. Like in the Edwardian period or Victorian period, it was about wearing these corsets that restrained our bodies and created unrealistic curves. So body manipulation has always been a thing in history. And you know, and there's always the people who take it to the extreme. For our generation, we, like I said, we got Cardi, we got Kim, we got Nicki. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about like I said, I'm all about enhancements. But
Little
when it
Kim.
gets crazy, when it gets to the point where your leg is like a chicken, like a stick, a popsicle stick, and then you got like this round marshmallow in the back of it, it don't make no sense. It's not proportionate. You just look like, or this situation where people are looking like wishbones
Yeah.
because
Oh,
they're making their hips like this huge thing, but the rest of your legs are like sticks, dude. What are you doing to yourself?
Yeah, not to
You
be a
looking like a Pixar character. You looking like a cartoon character. And I'm telling you, the cartoon characters don't help either.
no.
Because as me as a comic book nerd, you see how these women are drawn. They're not drawn very realistic. They're not. When you think about it, even their superhero outfits, it's like, who's fighting crime in that spandex? Like, as a woman, and you know, anything that tight up your hoo-ha is not good for your pH. It's not good for a lot of things,
That's
you know?
right.
So it's like we
Unrealistic.
definitely we definitely have to reevaluate like kind of the narrative of what we are showing to our kids, because these are things that have been embedded in our heads since we were children. Like
I think it's social media.
looking at Barbie, who's very unrealistic. Her proportions
Yeah.
are unrealistic. I will give Barbie, you know, the credit that's due today, nowadays, because they are becoming more realistic with their form. But Barbie created a lot of issues as well. Let's not sleep. And it goes a lot further than just the media. It's infiltrated everywhere. And like Pixar has this thing where they're creating these shapes like Kim K has that don't make no sense. And it's like people aren't really shaped like that.
Yeah.
Like they're shaped like that, but girls see this and kids see this and they look up to these characters, and these little girls sit at home and they're like, wow, that is the epitome of beauty. And
Mm-mm.
it definitely sets things up negatively. Like it comes from everywhere. Like us as women, we have so much pressure to stay young. We have so much pressure to keep everything gravity focused, you know, up. And then, you
this is the
know,
thing. This is so pardon me for interjecting, but
yeah.
this is the thing. And you know, three women now. Um, questions for you all. Do you feel your partner wants you to do that? Like, you know, continually look young, keep up with the Joneses or the Kardashians, whatever be the case. Not saying it has to be about you making physical enhancements, but just overall what you are doing to just like maintain a certain look that might have appealed to that person when you initially started dating or whatnot. Or do you feel like that? Or just not even if it's with someone currently, it's just like, do you feel like that period in terms of how you feel you appeal to your opposites, your partner or your interests?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No,
There seemed
I
like there was some spice there, Jen.
Because
So
he gonna love me with my hair and a bonnet.
you
And
throwing bonnets out there, huh?
yeah, no. You're gonna take me with my ugly days too. You're gonna love all this.
Okay.
And I think that who you are in a relationship, who you presented in a relationship, and vice versa for men too, you should always be that person, right? So everybody's not going to wake up with a whole beat face and their hair done every morning. But when we are out, when we go out together, you should still maintain who you are, who you've always been.
Be presentable, yeah.
Yeah. That's how it is for me.
Yeah.
But there's a saying that goes, when you look good, you feel good.
Yes.
You just gotta take care of yourself. Doesn't mean you have to go get surgery. But if that makes you happy, then that makes you happy. That's nobody's business.
In a lineup, get your nails done, get in a pedicure, anything.
Just taking pride in yourself and knowing your worth is very important, because a lot of that does come from a person not knowing their worth.
Yes.
And just like letting it be. And honestly, those are the people who fall into these bad situations, even with bad partners. Because if you don't know your worth, you're basically allowing someone to treat you however,
so true.
because you are the one who dictates how you want to be treated.
Okay.
So true.
And I feel too, I'm sorry, that a lot of people follow the influences of people on social media, and you see them like so extravagant, and in real life they're broke.
That's the thing.
Because I know a few people that you see their Instagram and you be like, wow, it was so impressive, and in real life they're not.
Wow.
So social media has, it's more, it's out there. You could see, you run through a bunch of pictures a day and everybody looks so fabulous and their body looks good and they're wearing all this designer, but it is just an image. It's not the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
It's to some extent, it's more of a superficial layer.
Yes. You're always going to try to show yourself.
And the thing is, like, you're not really seeing someone in most cases naturally how they are. So do you feel that there is cultural appropriation?
Oh, hell yes.
For women and men who enhance their bodies?
Hell yes. Yes. We've seen it. Kim wasn't born with that posterior. I'm just putting it out there. She wasn't born like that. I've seen pictures of her before and she looked nothing like that. And they're big appropriators, from our braids to our music. They are very big appropriators. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about, sharing culture and learning new cultures. But when something that's been around for years is all of a sudden I hate to put it a Caucasian woman does it and it's now trending and it's the new thing and no one's ever seen it before, and that person isn't really giving credit to where it really comes from, and it's like, yeah, you definitely appropriated on my culture. Like, how dare you?
Right.
How dare you? And it even goes in the situation of fetishizing. Like a lot of people fetishize Asians and, they become obsessed with the culture, or like a big appropriator for that is Gwen Stefani. And I love Gwen Stefani. because since the No Doubt days, but with the Harajuku girls, like she took it to a whole other level. And, you know, it's not right, because it's like you're just falling for an idea, but you're not really embracing people. You're falling for an idea. You're falling for an ideal. Or like there's people out there, don't get me wrong, we all have types and stuff like that, but there's people who take it to a whole other level. Even people, you know, like the BB Dubs moment that everyone's having. There's some dudes that, you know, a woman might be of bigger stature, but she still has her own insecurities. And they're in the bedroom talking about, well, I love your fat, and they're squeezing in, they're calling them pigs and whatever. It's like, that's fetishizing. Yeah. And it's demeaning. It's demeaning because you're not seeing the person, you're just seeing this part, and that's it. You're not embracing them as much as people think that they're embracing them. You're not. Instead, you are putting their insecurities and their feelings on display, and it's very insensitive.
Yeah. Is there a limit to what should be enhanced?
I don't know. That bleaching your skin is kind of scary, because me and Amanda, we went to Thailand. And those ladies had white faces, and the rest of this, I guess, they didn't have enough money to do the rest of the body, but it just looks so bad. And I'm just
out in Thailand.
Yeah, it's a big thing. I think Little Kim did it, Sammy Sosa. It just looks ridiculous.
It does look ridiculous.
I feel like you really hate yourself if you have to change the color of your skin.
Yeah.
When you saw
all shades are beautiful.
They look dead.
They look dead. They look
dead. I don't know if you've ever seen, like, there's artwork out of like the Vietnam War where the Vietnamese, like the dead Vietnamese, are in the water and their faces are like these pale, like ghost colors.
I see it all the time.
That's what we were seeing. And it was just so creepy because it wasn't even a realistic color. This was, you could tell this was an engineered color. And because it looked painful too.
That bleaching, it literally strips the skin to the point that they can't even lay down on sheets or anything that touches it. It's like painful, all because society all over the world has just made us feel like white is right. You'll get further lighter, which is not true at all. It's not. It really isn't, especially these days. That, you know, maybe back in the day, but these days you might have a few people that prefer lighter over darker. But I mean, like, you go to Jamaica, you go to the African hair braiding, you can see that their fingers are dark, but you look at their face and it's like, they look scary. They look like Michael Jackson from Thriller. They look crazy. But when they look in the mirror, it's like, oh, my skin is so light. I'm so pretty. I'm so nice. It's something, that shit is mental. Me personally, I think it's mental.
Yeah. We're still suffering from the effects of slavery.
Yeah, we are.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah,
it's just this idea. White. I mean, I even had a situation at work where I was at work and we were all showing pictures, whatever, and a couple of my coworkers saw my hair straight and they were just like, oh my God. They were like, your hair looks really nice straight. You look like a whole different person straight. I was like, oh, thank you, blah, blah, blah. They were like, well, you should do that more. It looks better on you. And I was like, well, I like my hair the way it is. That's why I wear it like this every day.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and this person just kept harping on my hair. And it's like, dude, shut the hell up. Like,
yeah.
It even got to a point because I am the kind of person that isn't going to like, though I have opinions, I am not the person to be like the loudest person in the room in that situation. So I'm that person that if I have nothing nice to say, I'm not going to say it at all. And, you know, in that sense, I shut down. And my friends were like, they were like, well, I like your hair curly. I like you. And you know what? It's something that I had to face and fight for like my whole life. I was told I had bad hair
Oh my
because
God.
I'm mixed. I'm mixed. So I was told I had bad hair, even from like my side of the family. Like, you know, like they would comb my hair and they're like, well, you don't comb your hair. And I was they just didn't understand my hair type.
Right.
And I went to the salon recently with Jenn recently, and the woman didn't know how to, like, I was in the shampoo chair and she was like pulling my hair to the point where it hurt my
Oh,
scalp.
oh my
And it
gosh.
got so bad to the point where I got so frustrated with her that I was like, listen, I'm going to comb this out. And I showed her how to do it because there's a certain way,
Right.
different hair types, curl patterns you handle. And it was like, honestly, it felt so demeaning, but I was like,
Wait. Hold on.
Huh.
Jen, you was there?
Yeah, I was there.
You
I was
ain't
already in the dryer.
you
I
ain't
didn't know
you
it
ain't
was
pull
on.
that dry off and jump up and hit her with the one
no,
two?
she didn't see
Oh my
anything. I was
God.
further
You
away
supposed to
from
hold
her.
your girl
So
down right there, man. She was wild with that comb on her.
yeah, and then you know, like I'm finger combing through my hair, and then all of a sudden I looked down and I had this white top on, and I didn't notice that this conditioner that they used in my hair was brown, and it got all over my shirt. It was a freaking nightmare. It was so
Yeah,
I'm
she
sorry to
didn't
hear
get
embarrassing.
that
her
though.
I got
too.
to a point where there's two people in my hair, and it was just like I can do this. I can comb out my hair in less than a half an
Oh,
hour. Like you're taking forever to comb out my hair. It's just like it is true. There's just this idea that, you know, anything that is related to not being European is not attractive. And it's sad. It's sad because there's so much different types of beauty in this world. And that's something that should definitely be embraced. And I'm glad that there's some kind of movements being made in that direction, but there's still a lot more work to be done.
But see that right there, right, is you also describing what your natural look is that you are comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and granted, like I still feel like there the natural look hasn't gone away. You know, I feel like, you know, depending on how one looks at what they want to remain natural and one what they don't want to remain natural, it'll probably be a mix of that or be someone who just straight up, I'm gonna just remain natural. But like I feel like that hasn't really gone away, even though you have more a rise and people looking into these physical enhancements and so forth, and wearing contacts, anything else, like, you mentioned Sammy Sosa, and it was like, this is someone who is popular, very popular, and very popular for being this complexion or
yes.
close to
Mm-hmm.
this. So for someone to just bleach their skin and then have blue eye contacts or whatever it was,
Yeah,
I don't even know what he did to his eyes,
that was crazy.
but it it would it's such a it's such a dramatic change to one's physical appearance that it's going to be hard for anyone just to easily accept that. Like, I'm sure people are still probably stuck when they look at him and it's like, I don't know what's going on there, and it's probably all this self-talk that's happening, but they're not probably saying it to him, but
Mhm.
it's like, nah, this is something's off here, you know.
Yeah.
But you brought up good points when you was like, where it could be like something mental for individuals who feel like they need to bleach their skin. And then if like you didn't bleach your skin all the way, and then so it's like you're showing all the dark parts of your body with bleached skin, is like,
Well,
I,
from my understanding, in Thailand, they bleach their skin because they want to look like the Japanese, because Japanese women are considered to be more beautiful and they have these fine features and they're pale. So that's why they bleach their skin, because people from Thailand are more like tan complexion with more broad noses and full lips, but they look better off with
Mm-hmm.
the regular skin.
so like a geisha.
Yeah, they trying to look like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
All the way in Thailand, they're doing that. Wow. That's because I know like in Korea, they do the surgery to make their eyes bigger, make their nose smaller, and like lighten their skin.
Or they do one with the feet too. They bind the feet. So you could always have small
Yeah.
feet.
Japan
Because it's
is
considered more
famous for
feminine
that.
to have small features.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about in Japan?
Yeah, they're feeling like in feudal Japan, there was a lot of foot binding. That's what the geishas did.
Yeah.
But what it
Geishas,
does,
geishas.
it deforms your feet.
Oh,
It's
Mhm.
almost
yeah.
like corsetry, like extreme corsetry. If you look at anyone who's done extreme corsetry without their corsets, it will freak you the heck out. It will freak you for a long time because it's not natural. It's not natural. It might make a good hanger for clothes at the moment, but you definitely do have to, like you were saying, when is enough? When is enough? You can't even, because geishas, it even got to a point where they couldn't even walk. And let's put it to current, like what we deal with as women wearing heels. Like we wear heels that enhance our figures.
Your audio went out a little bit, Amanda.
I don't know, a lot of people don't realize it, but heels, they pronounce your legs. So they bring out your calves. They raise up your butt.
Yeah.
They definitely enhance or change your figure for that time being. But
Posture, yeah.
wearing them excessively, there are women who have arthritis in their feet. There are women who have spinal problems because of it throws off your alignment. So it's just like, when is enough? When is enough? But we women have always taken extremes in beauty. Like the Egyptians, they used poison to line their eyes.
Oh, right.
And, in the 1900s, people used arsenic and used cocaine and used these horrible things to like enhance themselves, or because that was medically it didn't we didn't have the findings that we have today, but people's faces were freaking melting off because they were using cosmetic products that were eating away their skin. Things with lye. This was like around like the 1800s people were doing this. So we've always taken extremes. Women will always say, okay, to be beautiful, we're going to go there. We're
Yeah.
going to go there.
Perming your hair, letting it burn.
Oh yeah, I've done perms, done the hair crack, and never again.
Yeah.
Because they're really bad for you. But to the people who do hair crack, by all means, keep cracking. Like I'm not going to throw my preferences or my feelings on certain things against anybody. Do for you. If that's what you feel like you need to do to look in the mirror and feel complete, because there's a lot of women out there, especially like when we go. I just watching a documentary about the natural hair movement against weaves and against perming. And it's just a matter of, do what makes you feel good at the end of the day. Do what makes you feel good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But be fully aware of what you're doing too.
So I know this question I sent to you all, and I actually kind of like edited it because I wanted to make more sense of what I felt was the use of enhancements that can be perceived nowadays. So has enhancements become more of an extreme modern day version of dress up? And the add on to that is, um, in a sense, has it become an accessory for individuals?
No, no. Because dress up, you could dress down. Accessories, you
Yeah.
could take off. This you do
Right.
not take off or dress down. This is a permanent decision. You can die. That's the risk with any surgery. And it's really expensive. So, no. Because the other option, what you just said, dress up, an accessory, you could take that off. This you cannot take off. unless they're breast implants, but
But
everything else.
even then, everything doesn't fall the same. So it is like you said, it is not reversible when you think about it.
Very permanent.
It's a permanent decision.
Okay. How do you feel about men getting enhancements?
What are
Like-
they enhancing?
Like man weaves.
There's men who have gotten hair plugs or whatever else they had gotten done. Men who've gotten facelifts. Men who've gotten because they might be flat chested, actually get chests put
That's
in.
wow.
Calves.
Of course, penis implants.
I got a problem with the penis implants. I think that's whack.
I mean,
What if they're micro and they just want to, live their best life?
exactly.
Live their best life.
There are certain situations that might permit you to need to like enhance that.
That's a good point. Yeah. What if you are micro? That's true. Yeah. I guess it's the same thing with women who have really small boobs. Like I had a friend who was an A cup, and the next summer I seen her, she was like double D. I mean, it was like extreme. And I knew it was like an issue. Like, my God, I need to do something about my chest.
Hold on. You gotta unpack this a little bit more. When you initially saw her,
she had an A cup.
After seeing that, when you seen her with whatever was done, if it was enhancement to whatever extent she got something performed on her, what was your face?
I was like, wow. I knew you were going, but I didn't know you were going like there. I thought you were gonna do like maybe a big C, right? Or a big B. Because the thing is that her body shape, it doesn't permit for those boobs to be that big. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you have a big butt and no thighs. It's like her chest cavity did not permit for that. But she was very happy. Every time I see her, pasties, spaghetti string, they outside. The girls are outside. So I said, you know what? This has made her complete, right? There you go with it. So I guess when it comes to like, I guess I got to look at it on both sides. So when men, if you're really like small down there, you're not getting no love and you can't satisfy, then yeah, do it. But I wouldn't want to be with anybody like that because I always feel like there's room for failure later on down the line. Like, what do you have to do to ensure that it stays that size? Like, what kind of things do you have to do to? It's just, I don't know. I feel like with that, and I know it might be a little like bias or whatever, but I don't know.
So you're uncertain about the mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely like now I'm kind of curious because I've heard of it, but I don't know how the surgery really works. Does it like increase the blood flow so that because that's all an erection really is blood flow.
Yeah.
To the but
yeah.
But now I'm curious. I'm definitely gonna look it up. I know you're gonna look it up.
Me too.
I'm gonna look it up.
To the what? Say that again. I don't know what that was.
It's like, it's just increased blood flow to.
No. I understood what you were saying. I was just making light of when you was like to the. It's like, what? Is the car about to crash or something? But no. But see, the thing is that like I think that is kind of like the more of the immediate thing. That's why I think women are looked at more because it's more parts that like if they get those enhanced would stand out more compared to a man. And then the automatic perception is, oh well, that's the thing that is going to be looked at enhanced. And I'm like, you know what, I never had a chest, I never had a six-pack for that man. And it's like, okay, now I have to like maybe get a tummy tuck and pop the the cans out or whatever being the case. But so it's interesting to know like that, like less time will be spent on conversing about that, but more time will be spent on conversing about a woman and her appearance and so forth.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I have a
Yeah.
friend who just recently had a gastric bypass. Um, he was really big. At one point, he was like 300 pounds, and he lost the weight in like a year. And he worked out, whatever, and he looks great. He looks great, but he's like, well, you don't see like the loose skin that I pull away. Even though I work out, I have loose skin, which I understand because I'm a mom and I had a C-section. And yeah, I have loose skin in areas that just never going to go away, and it's just something you learn to accept. But yes, as I was like, listen, if that's what you want to do, then by all means go ahead. um this whole idea that it just has to be women does need to be thrown out in the trash, because like you said, there are men that are definitely getting work done. Like, there are men who are getting the fake wigs, and people, especially men themselves, clowning on their own about it, because they're doing these things, or women laughing at them. But it's no different than us putting a weave on our head.
Yeah, it's the
It's
same
no
thing.
different than us, getting implants. It's no different. Everyone has insecurities, and how they decide to deal with it, it's very cruel to make fun of, because you just never know someone's walk and how they feel or whatever. And it's not right, because you wouldn't want it done to you. You wouldn't want it done to you. I wouldn't want someone clowning on me for whatever I do, that kind of situation. And it's the truth. I was with someone I had an ex who was balding. He balded really early in his life, like I'm talking about like in his 20s. And he was like very insecure about it.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad for him, because he had like this great luxurious kind of hair, and his hair was falling out. And he was doing Rogaine, and you know that's something he eventually came to terms with. But I think it also has to do with your resources and your means. If you have the means to do so, he probably would have done hair plugs, and I wouldn't have looked at him any differently, because I remember how heartbreaking it was for him to lose his hair, you
Mhm.
know, because that was a part of his identity. A lot of people don't like to think that, and they like to say, even women, like, I am not my hair. But we women, we spend a lot on products. We spend a lot to alter and do different things to our hair,
Mhm.
because our hair is part of our identities. And I don't think that's different for males either. Like, people make fun of LeBron's hairline, constantly receding. But
See, Amanda, we was okay. We was
yeah,
okay till you had to go to LeBron. No, to be honest, to just see Kevin Durant's head, it's literally a patch right
yeah,
here, and he's growing it. He's growing the
Mhm.
hair around it. But before, he was cutting his hair down to like a light Caesar or whatever be
Right.
the case. But it's like, you literally have millions and millions of dollars. You don't want to just get it cut again. Like, you literally have it, no hair right here now, and then it's just like hair around.
Nah, trim that down.
And if you see some of the images they got of him, it's like, oh my gosh. But anyway, I
No.
digress. Back to LeBron.
yeah. I mean, that's when you think about it, we make fun of it, but that's probably really hard for them to deal with and to come to terms
Mhm.
with,
But
because
Mhm.
hold on. So I get the part with baby LeBron.
mhm,
The part with Kevin Durant, I don't know.
he's in denial.
That seems kind of dirty.
He's in he's in denial. He's in denial.
I'm
Like,
just saying, because if you think about that, right? If if you're fine with that, then there's probably other things that we're just not aware of, that you might be kind of dirty about. I don't know.
nah,
I don't
I don't
know.
think so.
I don't
It's
know.
I don't think so. It's like when a guy guy's losing his hair and he does a comb over, and it's like everyone knows this comb over looks like crap and he shouldn't do it, but he does it anyway because himself thinks in his head that it's covering something,
Right.
but it's not covering anything. You're balding. So it's like that quick decision where it's like you're gonna put something on your head, or you're gonna go all bald, or you're gonna get hair plugs. But if Kevin Durant wants to rock the baldy and try to, I think in a sense that's almost like a body positivity thing, because he's like normalizing.
He's not rocking
that,
a baldy.
you know,
You
he's
literally have an afro.
American
You got like an
Eagle.
afro, and
He's
then
got the whole
a
American
patch is just
Eagle
missing
look.
on the top.
I gotta go look now when you're done.
He's got a bald eagle look going on where it's like the it's not there. But I mean, if he's happy with that, but I don't think he is. I think he's trying to, because he's in denial and he's not ready to let go of all of it. So he's like, I'm going to accept this because I don't want to let go of this. But everybody's different. He might be feeling himself.
I'm seriously joking. I don't, because I really don't know what's wrong with, like, it could be alopecia, you know,
right,
or something else, that started happening. Like, I really don't know. I just found it really interesting based on how he is just like Sammy Sosa. Someone presented themselves a certain way and they did this for years. All of a sudden during the pandemic, literally during the pandemic, he had this appearance before the season started and then cut his hair and then got it back again. And then it was just like left it as is, which was interesting because I was like, that's an interesting change because you weren't like this before. So it was like, is there something off with how you were taking care of yourself before? I mean, now based on how you would take care of yourself before. So
like I can definitely tell you, because like I said, I dated someone who was balding, and I can tell you it's kind of like a time of it. It has to do with your denial and your acceptance of what you're going through. Because
they wear the hats.
My ex did that too. Like, like when he would like comb it over, or what he would do is he would put scarves on his head, and then he would just have the back out because he had like this really nice hair and he had the back out, but he was balding on the crown of his head. Or he would put his hair up into a bun or something, to cover it up because he wasn't ready to accept it. Or then it got to a point where he shaved it down a little bit so that it would like almost like even out, but you can still see the issue. Now he is fully bald, like he actually shaved it all off, and it looks good on him. Like it's definitely when you're ready to accept things. And some people take longer than others. Some people will live like this forever, and some people will say, you know what, enough is enough. This looks ridiculous. It's time for me to just get rid of it or figure out a solution for it.
Got it. Well, this is my last question. So appreciate everyone's insight. Jenn looking like she multitasking. Whatever.
You know it.
You know me.
But and I think, Amanda, you spoke a little bit to this earlier. So is the right example being set for young people who seem to want to prematurely get enhancements done on their body?
No. My daughter, she just turned 14 in January, and her entire focus is, when are my boobs, like, when are my boobs gonna grow? Why don't I have a butt? Why? And so for me, right, like when I was 14, 13, I didn't give a hell about none of that. And I'm like, I listened to her, but then when her friends, it's crazy because then when I'm around her and her friends, they love Megan Thee Stallion. They always talk about her body, that, like they are obsessed. And I'm like, yo, this is real. Like they don't care about getting their nails painted and things like that. They want their bodies right now.
It's true. My daughter is kind of the same. My daughter's You know, she eats and she's like, I want to be thick. She's like, I want to be hella thick. And I'm like, my daughter's only 12. She's going to be
What is
13
this?
in September. And she's like, I want to be thick. I want to be thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. And I'm like, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Thick
You didn't say
nothing.
that.
Yes, my daughter says things like that. Yes, she does. She says it in jokes, but I can tell there's some seriousness. I mean, she's starting to, you know, she's starting to develop, so she's happy about that. But the bottom half, she's like very kind of like obsessed with it. Even when she's like doing her little funny dances and stuff like that, it's all like dances that have to deal with the butt, because she's kind of, I can tell that my daughter is a
That's
little
another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those dances, which of course, like you mentioned, or you know, previously about like
Mm-hmm.
how the trend is about the butt. So if there's dances that are like circled around that, of course, you know what it will lead to is what it will lead to. You know, the high
Mm-hmm.
attraction to it. You know, the looking back at oneself or looking in the mirror and like it ain't
All the
jiggling
poses.
like how what's
Right.
the names was jiggling, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, I gotta figure this out. Do I wear
Yeah.
tighter clothes? You know, what can I do to alter my appearance to feel to some degree that I'm meeting that expectation now that I've set for myself that could be forced or whatnot or misguided.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Oatmeal. Wow, that's a
Yeah, these kids are crazy nowadays. And the funny thing is, my daughter doesn't, we don't allow her to listen to Cardi B in the house. We don't listen to any of this stuff in the house. And even though my daughter's 12, I know she knows of these things, but it's just
Right.
not allowed in our house. I don't allow her to dance in certain ways in my house because I'm just like, you're a little girl and you're gonna remain a little girl. But I think we can't just totally put the pressure on what the hip hop, what the, you know, the hip hop artists are doing, or, you know, what celebrities are doing. Because as parents, it depends on us too, you know? It depends on what we draw the line on.
To instill and talk to
And
them
what
and let them know.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. If we
so
leave them, you know, astray, they're gonna go to the slaughter. Like they're lambs, they're baby lambs, and they're gonna go to the slaughter if we're not leading them in the right direction. So I I won't say that we can make the full decisions for them, but we can help guide them and, you know, kind of bring them back to earth. Because
Mhm.
my daughter also, because my partner, he does photography.
Mhm.
So she knows how to do photographs. She knows how to take pictures and she knows how to Photoshop. And
Mhm.
it helps a lot because it shows her even like the stuff in the magazines aren't real. These people,
Right.
like,
She's learning.
they're altering their figures, they're lightening their skin. Like, no one's in this world is perfect, and it needs to be said. And like I even said it before, like I admire what Alicia Keys is doing right now with her whole natural movement, because
Mhm.
she, and now there's even talks about them under like advertisements and you know, like editorial spreads for fashion magazines. Anything that has been edited or modified in Photoshop, they're talking about putting disclaimers on the bottom of these ads.
Oh wow.
that's
So
significant. That can be significant.
that could be significant. It's a small step in the right direction, because like you said, they don't focus, the focus point is not on that. It's just they see something glamorous, something beautiful, they see other people lusting over it, or, you know, wanting it, and they want to do it too. But that's everybody, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
But as parents, it's our job to say, yeah, that's not happening.
you know it's interesting because I recently became a girl dad, and the awareness of how I have to, well, I will eventually have to enlighten her on the stereotypes, and you know, if you get a tongue ring, what that can be perceived as. If you
Mhm.
get a lower back tattoo, what that can be perceived as. And just these variations of just like certain clothing. If you wear these type of shorts, this is what it can be perceived as.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting, you know, and it's like, okay, I'm not nowhere near having that conversation yet, but I'm just like, I can imagine like how that complicated that conversation is going to be based on whatever's popular at the time.
Right.
So like I'm sure that's going to be a huge challenge. But yeah, you know, and it's coming from a male perspective. So it's like, you know, how would that really be taken compared to like, you know, a woman's perspective or whatever be the case in that situation? Or I don't know. I just know I've seen a lot of that, and you know, of course, with working with young women and young men, just how like, you know, how it's just been made acceptable. You know,
Yeah.
you have these tattoos, you can wear these like these midriff cut shirts or whatever the case, but you
Mhm.
showing all of that. Where if you have a tattoo, or your belly button pierce and then your tongue rings and all this stuff, and then just how that could come across.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're dealing with young people who are just not mature enough to be able to explain themselves or communicate properly, it gets confusing. And then
Yeah.
the interaction and how that is, it just leads to just various different issues that could turn into trauma.
Yeah.
So,
It's it's definitely the truth. Another thing that my daughter was doing at one point was w- she likes makeup. She likes to wear makeup and stuff like that. My rules are more so you can play with it in the house, but not really outside. But, on special occasions, I would allow her to wear it out. But it started to become an issue where my daughter was trying to wear makeup every single day. My daughter, like I said, is 12 years old. And I'm not just talking about like some eyeshadow, swoop of eyeshadow. My daughter was trying to do a full face every single day. And it got to a point where I'm like, you're a beautiful girl. You don't have to do this every day. I was like, look at
Mhm.
me. I was like, I'm like, yeah, I like to wear makeup and stuff like that, but I don't wear makeup every single day.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's very minimal. It's very minimal. I was like,
Right.
and like Jem was saying earlier, it's like things, if you're doing them for the right reasons and not just to cover up an insecurity or something you might have. And
Mhm.
it's just like she wanted to wear it every day. It was like she was sneaking into the bathroom. We would go somewhere, and then I'm like, "You have makeup on?" And she's like, "I'm like, you can't wear that." I'm like, "You can't wear that. I'm sorry. That's a full face. I'm a red lip. I'm not letting you walk out this house with a red lip. You're 12 years old." I'm like, "You can
Mhm.
wear a light pink lip. You can wear sheer colors." And like I said, like on special occasions, like your birthday or like someone's birthday dinner or something. But there is a lot of pressure on them nowadays, unfortunately. And it's something as parents, we just have to instill in our children. You're beautiful. And you know what? It's funny because parents have always said that for the most part, like, you're beautiful the way you are.
They
But
don't want to hear that from us. They want to hear that from
they want
everybody
to hear from
else.
their
Mhm.
peers. They want to hear from their peers. And it's
Mhm.
like, I'm like, and I told her, I was like, listen, I get you like makeup and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think you realize makeup ruins your skin too if you're using it to this extent. And I was like, it's going to age you earlier than you would want it to. So
Mhm.
I was like, you got to look at the pros and cons of things, just like the pros and cons of surgery, the pros and cons of makeup, the pros and cons of using hair crack, the pros and cons of, of wearing a weave, the pros and cons of some protective stylings that can pull your hair out. Like there's just a lot of things. There's pros and cons to everything. And it's just making our children aware realistically of what they are.
okay.
Yeah, I think um anything under 25, you shouldn't get any enhancements to your body. Braces, cool, but you're still developing. So trying to get implants or BBL at that age, it doesn't make sense. Your body's still developing, you're still growing. So, and it's a very big decision to make. So I believe children shouldn't be making that decision. I know at 18 they can, but It's not smart.
What if they or their family has the resources?
You could have the resources, but then it could also be money wasted because your body's still developing. The doctor's gonna even tell you. And that's like, for example, like when a woman wants to get her tubes tied and she's only had one kid, the doctor's gonna sit with you and be like, okay, do you know that this is unreversible? Do you know that later on you might want children and you cannot do it? You only have one kid, and the woman has to go to therapy before she makes that decision because that is life altering. You only have one kid or no kid.
True.
Now, you go spend this money on having plastic surgery while your body's still developing, it's going to alter your anatomy because it's not, oh, okay, you're going to go buy a new butt and that's the way it is. No,
No.
the doctor's going to tell you your body's going to change within that year. You're going to, one day you're going to look like you don't have any surgery done. And the next day your butt's going to look big because your cells are changing.
Yeah.
So when your body is still developing at 25, because you're still, well, under 25, you're still growing your breasts, still growing your butt at a more rapid speed, you're going to spend money to alter your body, but then it's not going to be the way it came out at surgery. It's going to change within that year because your body's still rapidly changing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to get done at an early age. And
Yeah.
any good doctor will tell you that, because the doctor I had, he told me I wanted one thing at first. He's like, nope, I'm not doing that because realistically, this is X, Y, and Z. Why I can't do that? A good doctor is going to tell you the
That's
truth.
good.
That's good that they tell you. And it's the same thing with women who have kids young, like having babies at 14 and 15, your body is still developing. So now when you in your 20s, 25, 26, you look crazy because you were still going through puberty, you got pregnant, but your body's still going. So now it's like, you have the extra sagging boobs that you shouldn't have at 23, 24. You got all this extra skin that shouldn't be there. So it all ties in, like anything that alters your body, like Jen said, right? It's gonna all fall through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also, like, I know for me, like, something that I liked when I was 18, I definitely didn't like when I was 21, and so forth. And,
Right.
we just evolve and we
We
progress.
evolve.
And,
Yep.
when you're that young, there's no guarantee that you're going to like this years down the line.
Exactly.
It was good for the moment, but then you're going to
Right.
be like, damn, I did all of this. And that's
Like,
why
what was
a
I
lot of people,
thinking?
that's like a
Yeah.
lot of people who get implants, they end up reducing them because they were so hell bent on getting this big size and it was going to be crazy. It's going to be amazing. But then they reduce. Look at Pam Anderson. She did that.
Oh my goodness. She did that.
She was
Hers were
out
big.
here. She was like literally
Yeah.
out here. And then later in life, she ended up reducing. Because she was just
Out
like,
my
it's
camera.
crazy.
Get
It's just,
out.
it, it comes with its own complications. And it's just like, it is like Jen says, this is permanent stuff. And not everything is reversible. Some things can be, but they'll never be the same again. And also scarring is real too. And if you're a person of color, you're highly susceptible to scarring with surgeries.
Well, I thank you all. This was some very good insight. I think, you know, at a time where, like, we see that this is becoming more of a social norm, you know,
Mhm.
across the board. And yeah, that you have young people up that are doing it, but also, for some of those young people, it could depend on what type of lifestyle that they're living, you know,
Mhm.
and if, they're having like economic issues or whatever the case, and, or, they're homeless, you know, it could lead to possibly, those decisions being made prematurely, and it is what it is, for them to try to survive. Um, but just overall, like, this is definitely becoming more of a norm, and to have some more perspective shared about like just what's happening nowadays, why some people can be making these decisions, why, why they probably shouldn't. I feel it's worthwhile to have a discussion about it. More discussion should actually be had about this, because I really feel like what is being presented through Instagram, especially, it's funny because I think it I don't know like how the algorithms are set up. So it's like, if depending on if you, I don't know, you looked at could have been an ad for panties, and it had a woman with a big butt. Next thing you know, damn near all the things is popping up. It's big butts all over the place. It's like YouTube shorts, big butts. This it's like just all over the place, whatever be the case. So it's like, it just is what it is nowadays. But it's like, it's also like, with having a conversation if needed around that, because if you're a parent and if you have boys, that you have to raise, and then they're gonna be going to social media or looking at something, or you have other family members, and then how they have conversations around your children regarding that is like, has to be monitored, or you have to be aware of, because like, what exactly are they telling them? Like, oh yeah, you see this, and laughing at everything, and it's like, wait, hold on, I'm gonna have to check that, but nevertheless, I definitely feel this was a constructive conversation. I appreciate you all taking the time today. Normally when I end the podcast, I allow all the guests, if they have something they want to plug, something they want to promote, something upcoming that they're doing, feel free to do that. So, if you have something you want to plug, refer people to, whatever the case, feel free to plug anything if you have anything.
Okay. Well, on IG, Mandy Girl Smiles. I also co-host a nerd channel, Egghead News on YouTube. Check it out.
Okay.
With the finger and the point and all that. Okay.
And what's your Instagram?
Mandy Girl Smiles.
Okay.
Okay, Rahshida, Jenn, you want to plug anything?
I don't got nothing.
I ain't got that either.
Okay, all right. All right. So once again, I thank you all for like joining Curious Success. Jenn, coming back around.
Yes.
Showing love again. This is the 20th episode, so I made history. So I gotta get further along. But definitely,
that's good though.
Definitely appreciate you all for joining today, and I look forward to bring you around next time around for another conversation, depending on what the topic is. So be safe, all. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.